Good afternoon, Tim. How the heck are you, man?
Man, the Mavericks going to call the Frankles?
Whew, they have been hurt. I think it was their own doing, though, wasn't it?
That's the thing. That's the thing here. I mean, I am not out here to assign causality between how much Kyrie Irving has been playing and the specific injury that he suffered, but it is unwise to put this much on a guard and Dallas had been just relying on this soon to be 33-year-old, and the possibility that it would burn him out to some extent at some point of the season was always a lingering concern for the Dallas Mavericks. And just tragically, unfortunately, in the worst possible way, that was answered with the worst possible injury, something that is going to have enormous ramifications. But yeah, Kyrie Irving, ACL. This is the bleakest sports season I think I have ever witnessed in any sport.
It really is unbelievable, and it'll probably take a while before I can even get full perspective on it, but I think you nailed it right there. I've never seen anything like this. Have you been able to uncover any other detail on why they were comfortable moving away from a two playmaker to one, and why they were so urgently trying to get rid of Luka?
Yeah, in some ways we are where we were, and in some ways we are still. I keep saying listen to Nico, and as far as I understand it, pretty much the reasons he said he made the deal is why he made the deal. That there is not some conspiracy, there is not some hidden agenda that is, there's no mastermind at the controls that caused this to happen. But I understand why fans just hear those reasons and still, despite all the reporting otherwise, still believe or want to believe that there's something else to this, because I get it. I empathize, I sympathize that, it still feels like there has to be something else to this, even though I truly do not believe there is.
He just seems so competent. He was good at his job, and then he did the most incompetent thing maybe in league history.
Right. And I think he had this vision that Dallas was going to play Boston again, and that it wasn't going to go any better this time around. He just really had this belief that the team that lost to the Celtics in the finals was never going to beat this iteration of the Celtics. And I don't know, maybe AD, if this team was fully healthy and you just zoom to the finals right now, maybe this team would be a little bit better, maybe possibly the matchups would make it a little. I don't think I really believe that, but you could squint your eyes and make that argument. But it's the two playmaker thing. It's exactly that, because now you see what the ramifications of Kyrie going down. Again, I think an ACL, his knee hyperextended, and because he had contact. I don't think it's not a one-to-one thing. But the more minutes you play, player, the more likelihood that a freak accident is going to happen. And Kyrie was just giving this team so much. He was giving them every aspect that physically he could. And I don't think this would have gone well, even if AD came back next week. I think there were serious concerns about the Mavericks and just their ability to hold up for an entire postseason. And it's just such a it's such a incomprehensible thing that they had a model that clearly worked, that clearly got them to the NBA Finals, and now here they are.
Do they need a tank now? Will they tank?
I think it's the only pragmatic way. I mean, will they tank? Their best player was Kai Jones, who they just signed to a two-way contract, in Monday's loss. So, I think they're going to lose a lot of games. Obviously not discounting. The tank comes in the sense of, is there any reason for Anthony Davis to play this year?
Yeah.
That's what you're asking, and I'm not and yeah, no, there isn't. The pragmatic thing is to, all these injured players, unless they are, there's no rush, or there's no, that you should extend them more leeway in runway, and you should extend them as much time as it makes sense to. And if you extend them extra time, then probably none of the big men are playing again this year. And so in that sense, yes, it's going to look like this team is going to lose games. They're just not set up to win right now. They don't have the players. They don't have the bodies. So that is the situation as it stands right now. There's nothing to play for. Even hanging on to the 10th seed, what are you going to do with that? You're going to win 2 road games and go face the Oklahoma City Thunder in the first round. It's just, the season is over.
So how much causation, as you said, is up for debate, but I just wanted to clarify with you, because you covered the game so closely. With 2:35 to go in the first quarter, if Luka and Kyrie are healthy, is Kyrie on the bench at that stage in the first quarter usually?
Yeah, typically he would be on the bench, yes.
Yeah.
When it comes to Kai this offseason, how do you think this injury now impacts the player option and possibly the max the Mavericks were willing to give?
I mean, this is the worst thing that could happen. Even though it was very clear in the game last night when he suffered the injury that it was going to be serious and that the season was almost certainly going to be over. The hope was that it wasn't going to be an ACL, that it wasn't going to be something that is probably going to take 12 months to recover from. There are players younger than Kyrie, Jamal Murray, who had an ACL injury in March and missed the entire next season. These are circumstances, these are considerations that the Mavericks front office has to be thinking about right now. I am sure as hell hope that Kyrie Irving is not missing an entire NBA season, like the entirety of the next NBA season. But it's something that, at least is in their mind as they start thinking and planning about this. I don't have direct reported insight right now of what is likely. I don't think Kyrie knows what he's going to do. This is all too sudden. I mean, it would make some sense if he just opted into his $44 million player option and, use next season as a rehab season, especially if there's any consideration in his mind that he might not play next year. That's plausible. But it's way too soon to know. But from a front office perspective, even in a best case scenario, Kyrie Irving is probably coming back in January or around the All-Star break. That puts you in a situation where you have to go into the summer building 2 different teams. Yeah. One to win enough regular season games while Kyrie is out to have a chance of the playoffs, and then another one that is a title contender for once he is back on the court. And that is just an almost impossible way to go about team building, and an almost impossible ask of Anthony Davis, an injury-prone player himself, who is turning 32 this month. This is a catastrophic event beyond the fact that the season is over. This is genuinely calamitous for the Dallas Mavericks.
Tim, is there a chance that Nico will lose his job, though, at the end of the season?
I have no insight to believe that he would, and the players got injured. I think that, you have to go into next season because of the choices this team has made. That, I suppose if the ownership said, let's bring in somebody else, I think that somebody else would probably break up the team. But I don't think the franchise has any desire to do that. Even if their slim window just got slimmer and more difficult. So, his vision has not been realized on the court. And as much as there is some correlation, like, this was a freakish season of injuries from the very start. This season might have been lost even without the Luka Doncic trade. Like, we don't know when Derek Lively is coming back. He was injured not long, but a couple weeks before the trade happened. It's quite possible this was going to be a lost season, not dissimilar to the 2023 season. It's just that if you had Luka, obviously things look a lot different, and the hope in the fan base and everything just feels not as severe and harsh and bleak as the circumstances do right now.
What's it look like if Kyrie does opt out and he wants to go somewhere else? Does Nico have the kind of cachet with players and momentum still that he could recruit somebody to team up with AD and the guys?
I think that's a great question. The way I'll answer it is, I think a huge reason why Klay Thompson came to the Dallas Mavericks, a lot of it was the relationships, and that is something that Nico is strong at. You know, he does have strengths there. But I don't know if Dallas signs Klay Thompson if they're a second-round exit. A huge part of it was the run they made. And at this point, they have enough star power that, you know, a lot of it depends on Kyrie Irving. Maybe Kevin Durant. You know, maybe Dallas ends up being his preferred destination because he sees some sort of vision. But I think it just gets more difficult when you're not even in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And beyond that, when one of the key draws to coming to Dallas, Kyrie Irving, is a player with there's now so much uncertainty cast around him. So I don't know. It's a fascinating question. My gut says, and certainly before the injury, all indications I had, you know, not 100% certainty. You know, Kyrie is, you know, not someone that you should ever assign certainty to. But it did seem like for sure he was coming back to Dallas. And my gut says that wouldn't change just because of this injury. In fact, it might make it more difficult even if he did want to go somewhere else. But it's really hard to know as things stand right now. It's so early in the process.
Well, you're the man, Tim. We thank you so much, Tim Cato, All City Dallas. Best of luck to you. And we look forward to chatting with you next time.
I appreciate it.